Well, Najib's involvement or alleged involvement in those missing billions is really what the prosecution are trying to determine. They're trying to really marshal and galvanise all their evidence and present it to court to try and really present their case. That's what's going on here. And what happened today is that, well, let me just take you back to last night, where some very dramatic and unexpected turn of events. Najib was arrested by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, and his supporters did feel, they continue to feel, and there's a very strong depth of feeling out here, and there's at least 100 of his supporters out here today to express solidarity with him. They can feel that even at this very early stage in the legal proceedings against Najib, that there is a miscarriage of justice going on. That's their point of view, but regardless, the court here, as you quite rightly pointed out, Karen, has released former Prime Minister Najib on bail of 1 million ringgit. Collateral is his home in Kuala Lumpur, and he has been charged, as he said, with 3 counts of corruption. What we know now is that the prosecution have now successfully got a court order from the judge to bump this up to High Court, where there could be some further charges that may follow with some potentially stiffer penalties. So this ain't over yet by any stretch of the imagination. It stands to be a very deeply polarising case, but it's a case that needs to be heard as well, because this new government, barely 2 months old, has made it very clear to the Malaysian voters and to the Malaysian public that anti-corruption is really where they want to take this new administration, starting with trying to understand and drawing a line and achieving some closure on the 1MDB issue and Najib's involvement. Now, it could very well involve many different people. It could run up to the hundreds. There could be former cabinet ministers. There could be former board officials at 1MDB, let alone Najib's own family who could be implicated. So that's the nature of what we are dealing with here, and it could go on for quite some time. Several years is what some commentators have been saying, as opposed to months, because of the sheer scale of the irregularity that needs to be understood and addressed by the legal system here. And this new government seems to be very committed to doing so. Now, that's the domestic picture. I think if there is a slam dunk success in terms of these initial charges, then the prosecution are going to be emboldened. They're going to move it on to the international stage. And let's not forget, Karen, that you and I know, and you've been covering the story as well, that 1MDB is being investigated in a number of different jurisdictions internationally, whether it's Switzerland, whether it's in the US, or whether it's in Singapore. So some easy victories at this point in time may galvanise and may add some momentum to that international inquiries and probes into the missing billions that some are saying have been secreted in bank accounts across the world. And that's when you get into Jolo territory and the yachts and the Wolf of Wall Street and Hollywood movies, etc. That's another story. I think the really important thing for this current administration, Karen, is that they are seen to be following the due course of law, due legal process, and the danger and the risk is that this does not turn into a political witch hunt, which the opposition, now the former government, feel that it is. I do want to bring in the whole idea of patronage politics that many feel that Najib stood for. Earlier we were speaking to Adib Zal Kapli of Reams and Partners, and I asked him whether what the implications were exactly of this trial for so-called patronage politics and money politics in Malaysia. This is what he had to say.
It's very important, this case is very important for the government, because one of the promises of the government is to undo the patronage network of the previous ruling party. And as you know, UMNO is all about building patronage network, using government resources to build patronage network. Now, with the charges brought against Najib, if Najib faces the full force of the law, that's the beginning of the end of the patronage network. And that will hopefully, in the long term, discourage politicians from building similar patronage network in the future.
So, Karen, this is day one and round one of what could be a very long, protracted legal drama that could play out across 2 years or more in Malaysia. And I think it really goes to the heart of the newly installed government burnishing its anti-corruption credentials. But I think the risk here is that if they get too bogged down in the politics, and it's hard not to do so because of the abuse of power allegations and the charges here, then it may detract from the nitty-gritty of economic policy making, which is something very important, especially when you consider the fiscal position that Malaysia is in.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now, to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.